tell you that my favorite part is next. When we have been visualizing this is what I wanted. I wanted this part where we got to all see art on the walls and we got to hear people talk about their work, because I love to hear people talk about their art. So, without further ado, Laura Spector is they voted and she's up tonight. So the lovely Laura and then Chadwick and Bradley is Laura's husband. They're here joining us. So Laura, come on up.
Thank you. I had to bring my iPad with me because I'm going to read a book. No. I actually just wrote this evening, so because I wanted to, we had no idea what to expect when we came here yesterday.
And yet you had faith.
We had faith. We were working with Nick Ramos, so of course we had faith. Now with all the dust swept, which we saw today happening repeatedly, and with the lights almost installed, our work has ended and yours has just begun. Yours, City of Georgetown. Since we've had the pleasure of being the first artists to hammer nails into the pure white walls, we want to share a small wish for all of the folks that created this art center. May your walls always be filled with artwork that exhibits the bliss in which the artists created their work. Thoughtful ideas, works that pay attention to craftsmanship while pushing ideas forward. May they share a thread with the timeline of history while attempting to create their own. And may our work and future artists' work push conversations from I like, I don't like, into conversations of this must be referring to, or I'm so inspired because, or how the heck did they make this? So we wish you good luck, and thank you so much for having us.
So the work that you see on the walls this evening are all lost, forgotten, in some cases stolen artwork that has been recreated onto my body. And the process takes anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to recreate the painting onto my body. Then about another hour of photography. About 150 shots are taken. Some of the earlier works we would only take maybe 4 or 5. So we'd have one roll of film, and we were thinking, when we first started, this is before digital, that roll of film better come out. That's it. So then after that, after the photography is done, the painting is washed off, and so all that's left is the documentary photography that you see here on the walls. So we've been doing the work for about 18 years now, and worked with, about 10 museums throughout. When we first started the project, we would actually physically go into the storage areas of the museums, find the paintings that weren't exhibited for whatever reason. In each case, it's a bit different as to why they're not exhibited. As the work started to evolve, we were running out of areas on the body to paint, and so we started to cast the body parts, casting body parts and adding those in. So in some of them, you might see 2 heads, or 3 feet, or 3 arms, and so from that point, that these plaster pieces became their own relic. And then we were thinking, what if those became another relic? So the new works that you see over here are where they're using casts, body parts, and then Laura's doing the oil painting process, the oil painting and glazing process. So
The works on the walls, unlike the photographs, take about 1 year to create. So they're created in the way that they were originally created. So they start with an underpainting, and then they're glazed layer by layer to achieve the final result.
It takes a lot of patience, again, because to be able to sit still. A lot of times people are asking, can you move during this process? And during the drawing process and sort of mapping it out, there is no movement. But then, yeah, and then after that I do, eat lunch or eat dinner, and so I am able to move around a bit. And then it's usually painted. Sometimes the painting is painted upside down, but I'm not physically upside down. So we photograph it and then just flip the photo around. So, yeah.
Although we might have to try that sometime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To really get into yoga poses. But thank you. Yes, thank you. Correct. Yes.
Chadwick, would you speak, you and Laura, would you speak to what inspired you to start this process?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, how did you come up with this idea?
We were doing a lot of performative work, where performance art type work in San Francisco, where I would become different machines and go out into the streets of San Francisco, and there was one where I was painted as a clock, and it was reading a play, Waiting for Godot, and we were measuring the play in distance. So as I was walking down the street and painted as a clock. And then we were asked to do an exhibit at the University Art Museum in Berkeley, and a lot of our work was site-specific, so we thought, well, what's in the museum that no one else can see? What is site-specific about the museum? So we decided that's where the title Museum Anatomy comes from. So we would literally go into the basement, look at those works. And so it was that idea of these paintings on the body that were very simplistic at first, like shapes, that painted as a clock, which is like a 12, into something much more intricate. And that was one of the evolution of it.
Yeah. And as we started traveling, we were curious about the stories of why paintings were in storage facilities to begin with. So our first country was the Czech Republic. We were in Prague, and it took us about 9 months to determine where the works were stored in the first place. And then the work came, because we had to even get the consulate involved. We had to get a senator from Virginia involved. We had a lot of help just to find the works of art to recreate. And the reason why the works were in storage, some of them were political, others were cultural. One of the paintings that we favored, and we recreated a couple of his works, was Jaroslav Čermák. And he was a court painter, and he often painted portraits of his lover, who was a Montenegro woman or a gypsy. And they had a child out of wedlock, and it was a very serious no-no to the court. And so they kept his paintings in storage, and even to this day. I don't know if they care so much today, maybe it's just a habit, but they continue to keep a lot of his works up, portraits of her, in storage. And then when we started exploring other parts of the earth, we found different stories. So in Thailand, for example, we spent 10 years in Thailand. They have very few oil paintings because of the climate. They do a portrait gallery, but very few paintings are even there, let alone in storage. So we started recreating works from the temples there, temple murals, and we're recreating images from that onto the body, because that's what we had to work with. We weren't able to go to Museum Africa in Johannesburg, so they sent us their storage repository in slides. So this was before digital, and we got a package from FedEx and opened it up, and there were these beautiful slide positives, and we got to choose from those. They didn't have oil paintings. What they had were watercolor drawings that the king and queen of Spain would send out their artist, the court artist, to render these drawings of what was happening during the day, the daily life. And so a lot of them came back, and they were casual outings of people. And then what other?
Yeah, we just became very interested in the history.
Over to the microphone.
Oh, sure.
We just became very interested in the history of the paintings, like how many times they had exchanged hands, and also politically, for a lot of them politically, why they were not being shown, for whatever reason they were not being shown.
And as technology evolved, we no longer needed our medium format camera. We were able to use a DSLR camera. So we were able to take more images. We were able to manipulate and push the boundaries further of what we could do with the artwork. So we could add cast body parts. We could take multiple photos. We could animate Chadwick. There's one painting here that his eyes are rolled back, and it was a split-second capture with a camera that was so creepy that we couldn't ignore it. It was wonderful.
And also, none of the works are, a lot of times we're asked about if the works are Photoshopped. None of the works are Photoshopped. So when you see 3 arms in that, it's because it's been cast, and then the cast body part is added in.
And then because the internet evolved and all of a sudden museums started putting their storage facilities online, although we don't know to what extent they do, we were like, well, what's more interesting? What else is hidden? What about stolen paintings? Because that's kind of sexy. So we started investigating paintings and what happened to them. What happens to them when they're stolen? Who are the people that find them? Who are the investigators that go looking for these paintings that are stolen? And why are they stolen? Is it some creepy villain that is like out of a James Bond thriller that is in his basement looking at this, these paintings while he's petting his Persian cat? What is it? So what we're finding is that a lot of it is used as trade as currency for drugs and arms, and the media is being asked to not release the amount of money that paintings are worth because it makes it valuable for people who are then using it as an IOU to pay back their debts. So there's all kinds of different stories.
The painting in the very front window, the Madeleine de France, the small painting, was actually destroyed, a 400-year-old painting, destroyed in 2001 by a mother who was protecting her son, who was an art thief, and she actually put the painting into a garbage disposal because she knew that the police were on their way.
And she actually gave us quite a lot of work to do, and then this very first painting here is also another one. The first painting, the oil painting right around the corner, is also another one that she had destroyed during that same event.
So enjoy.
Thank you.